I'm Jay-Z.
I'm Daniel.
This is Just My DIY.
And today we're here to explore the 8th and final attachment to the StarCraft 8-in-1 Swing Away Heat Press.
That's right. Today we are testing out the hat press, and we're going to start off doing a test to really understand its full kind of heat dimensions, and then use it to apply a shimmery HTV to this hat right here.
And as a bonus feature, we're going to be using the StarCraft SOLO 16-inch digital cutting machine.
That's right. We'll show you how we do everything start to finish right now. First, we'll start with showing you how to attach the hat press to the body of the machine.
But first, you need to remove the other bodies to the machine.
Starting with the upper platen by releasing those wing nuts and then sliding the bottom plate back and pulling it up.
If you don't have it perfectly aligned, you'll have this much of a stress with it. And there we go. Now we're going to slide the receiver and then take it off again and put it on again the right way. And slide the wing nuts in place for the heating element and of course tighten them down. And then we're going to test and adjust our depth pressure setting, which was already fairly close, so that worked out. Plug it into the main control unit.
All right, now that we got everything plugged in, we're going to test the heating element. We do this every time we put a new attachment on this heat press. That's so we'll know exactly how much of the heating element is getting to that full temperature. So we are going to do a sublimation test on this one using polyester fabric and a sublimation printout that we used with our StarCraft sublimation ink and paper.
Yay!
Yay! So you see, that's the design we're going to use. This gives us a really good idea of how much of that heating element actually heats up to the 400 degrees, which is what we're doing for sublimation on this test.
So as usual, we're going to prep some butcher paper, try to figure out easy ways to do this. Eventually we're just going to tape it. Yeah, so now we're going to tape it.
The one thing we have noticed with these additional attachments for this heat press is that sometimes it's a little hard to know exactly where you're aiming. We saw this with the plate press, little similar with the hat press, but not to the same extent. But anyway, we figured that out. We get the piece of fabric down, press it for about 10 seconds. Do this every time we sublimate on fabric. That's to get any extra moisture out as well as take out any wrinkles.
And it also helps, you can see it helps us set up where we need to put our design.
That too.
And then the design and more butcher paper so we don't sublimate the heating element.
And we press that for about 60 seconds. After 60 seconds, we pull that off and we can see this one actually heats almost to the very edge. I mean, we saw very little fall off on the edges of this, and so that means that you do have that pretty much that full capability of the hat press, at least on the one that we have. Now we can use this to help size the design that we will use. We will be doing HTV instead of sublimation, but it's good to know how the heating element works. Now we're going to work within the StarCraft SOLO software, which is called Create. We drag our SVG in from our folder and then use the size over there on the right to get it to the right size. We don't need this to be as big as the heating element, so we work with it a little bit until we find the exact height that we want and are comfortable with the width as well. And then we will drag that down to the bottom right hand corner because that's where the SOLO likes to cut from. And then go into Create. Now, since we're doing HTV, There are a few things you want to remember. Don't forget to mirror. That mirror option is up there in the middle. I did create a custom setting for this Sparkle HTV with 11 pressure and 10 speed.
We're going to slide our HTV into position inside our Solo. Clamp it down. Position the cutting tool to the bottom right hand corner.
And go back into the software and click Create. Always know you should not click that Create button until you are ready to start cutting.
Because this machine will go crazy.
It just starts. Now this was a really quick cut. And once it was done, we just used the lever on the back to push that down and pull out the vinyl. Cut out the little section that we just cut and weed. There we go.
Now we're going to get the hat postured, but first we should know that there is this lip inside the hat that we're going to try and avoid so we don't get any odd lines or heat pressure highs and lows. So with that down, we're going to slide it onto the bottom piece of it, of the heat press.
Tighten it as much as we can.
And put our design in place. We have to use a couple pieces of heat resistant tape because it wasn't tacking down on its own.
That carrier sheet really wasn't very sticky. Now this HTV did recommend covering it with butcher paper, which was a little unusual for us, but we decided to go for it, and then we press it for the time that Caesar says you should on this particular vinyl. And when we lifted it up, we checked before we did our peel and noticed that the O wasn't quite down. This was definitely user error, not error of the press. So we decided to go back in, kind of reposition the hat a little more and make sure we press again on top of that. We didn't use the butcher paper the second time because we weren't pressing for the full 30 seconds. We were just going to do some tacking for about 10 seconds in a couple of different spots. And once that was fully secured, pulled off the carrier sheet.
And now we have a dog mom hat. It's not for me.
That one's definitely for me. It's official. Rhodey approves of my new hat that we just made on the StarCraft Swing Away Heat Press.
So if you approve, you should click the like button, subscribe, ring the bell. If you're seeking Rhodey's approval, you should leave so in the comment line. And of course, know that everything that we use to do this is listed down below.
Also in the description are links to all of our social channels. Please connect with us across platforms, as well as visit our blog at justmikediy.com. Thanks for watching.